Well, the Houston Astros took one back from New York. They're back to 500. Let's see if they can win the series. We're going to talk about this and how the Astros clawed their way back into victory on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me on X at Eric Talkstros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Thank you for making us part of your daily routine. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us part of your daily routine on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Become an everydayer. Somebody listens to our podcast every day. If you can't get enough Astros talk, go ahead and check out Michael Connor on the Locked On Astros postcast as well. He does a great job as well. And Brett, this was an awesome game. OMG. I can't believe the Astros, after what happened in Friday's game, they came back and won this game. Where can they find you at on social media?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X and on Facebook. They can find me at Back to the Bullpen on YouTube, X, and on Instagram. I'm always positive, always Stros. And OMG, I guess Grimace is having not a good day today in New York. There at Citi Field. Look, man, this is a great ballpark. This is a ballpark I want to visit. Our friend Chris hit the big screen like in the first or second inning Friday night's game. And I did love Friday night's game for one thing. I loved being able to listen to the radio broadcast during the Apple TV thing. But I switched back over when Jeremy Pena was being interviewed, and then he dropped that pop-up, or he didn't catch it. And I completely believe he was distracted, and they had the gall to go, hey, take us through that play. I'd be like, y'all wouldn't shut up. So hopefully we end infield player interviews. I think it's a dumb idea, but dude, hey man, you got a chance to come back Sunday and win a series against the Mets, and they're one of the hottest teams in baseball, if not the hottest team in baseball.
And we've seen the reason why the Mets have been a tough opponent so far in the first two games. It's been a dogfight. It's been something that the Astros have had to, in this game, they were trailing. They were trailing 6-4. And at one point it was 6-1. And so the Astros, this is really the biggest comeback of the season. And this is only the third time that they've won after the trailing in the eighth inning. So this is probably one of the biggest comebacks of the year. And they did it with not a lot of like home run power. Yes, you had Jake Myers with the home run in the eighth inning. In the second inning, that helped. But late in the game, you didn't have a lot of home runs. It was a lot of singles. It was a lot of doubles. It was a lot of stuff like that. But it wasn't a lot of like big, like waiting for the big walk-off hit. The Astros took advantage of a lot of walks in that eighth inning. The Mets, I believe, gave us 4 walks in that inning, and it was all about that big clutch hit. And that's something the Astros have not been able to do in this series. And it was up to Alex Bregman. And I think you were saying before the show that Alex Bregman's been struggling, but he and that bat, it was a big struggle. And Alex Bregman, to his credit, he went to a 3-2 count and then had a single. The single went to right field. It scored 2 runs to give the Astros the, I think it was a 7-6 lead at the time. And then the Astros just went on to score another 2 runs. And this was just a great game. It was one of those games that me and my girlfriend were watching. It was just like, wow, they did this. It was like, this is one of those games that you're like, no way they're going to win. As bad as Framber Valdez gave up the lead in the first two or three innings, there's no way they're going to win this game. But OMG, they did. And there's a reason why I keep on saying OMG, and it's in the title. I think that's going to come back and bite the Mets in the butt down the road.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I mean, look, I will say this. Watching Iglesias perform his own song, Eric, on the field after a win on a night where they do fireworks like we do at Minute Maid Park, That was the coolest thing that I've ever seen on a baseball field. That was as close to banana ball in MLB. And just a side note for Major League Baseball, if y'all want to market the game, you need to find more players that have songs like this and have them perform them, because that for me was one of my favorite moments of the baseball season. And I don't think I'm being overly dramatic about it. Everyone I talked to last night was like, that was phenomenal. And then the teammates came out and rallied around him. And I'm like, where's our guy that has a song? I know Luke Berryhill's in AAA and he sings country, but I need some Latin music. That was amazing. So that was fun. And look, the Mets is this organization. They spent like drunken sailors, Steve Cohen and all his money. That all fell apart. And this year, they pretty much turned into the New York Mets of what people in New York say. The Yankees are winners and the Mets are, we just got to wait till next year. And they've become a very relevant team and a very tough division.
Right.
If there's any team that can climb out of the hole in the National League, it's the New York Mets. And the Astros did everything they needed to do, Eric. They played team ball. They played small ball, and they manufactured runs. Remember, that's the theme that we've been sticking with the last 3 weeks is manufactured runs. And at the end of the day, that's what happened. You had Alex Bregman over 16 before he hit that 2-run single. Jake Myers hit an opposite field home run. Mauricio Dubon get up and hit a 2-run single. And so let's look at the win probability added leaders for the Houston Astros and look at the probability of the win for the Mets and how it dropped as the game went on. You have Alex Bregman, 36.8, Jake Myers, 17.1, and Ryan Presley, 13.9. One of our listeners just pointed out, one of our viewers hits a 7th consecutive scoreless inning, and things turned around right there between the 8th and the 9th inning, and the Astros took care of business. Look at that expected batting average, 306. They got 10 hits and 9 runs. That's productive baseball. They overcame Framber's horrible start. Framber did get into some bad luck, but let me tell you something. Framber's got to put it together. Framber's one of the veterans. Framber has years under his belt. Framber's not the guy they're having to worry about innings limit. He's got to get his crap together. He's got to look. If you're going to put the braids on and you're going to have the flow, you better flow more than one game. Okay. If you've got salsa, it better taste good. If you got a coffee shop, it better be a banger of an idea. Like, I don't want to hear about all this promotional stuff and all this swaggy stuff off the field if it doesn't mean anything on the field. Let's get away from the pomp and circumstance. Okay. That Iglesias thing, that was really, really cool. Okay. And they flexed that to OMG. That's the thing that the Mets team is writing. But I don't want to hear about Framber's flow. I don't want to hear about his La Grasa anymore. I want to see production on the mound, and he's got to get it together, because when Framber is locked in mentally, Eric, he's one of the most dangerous pitchers in Major League Baseball.
And I wanted to bring this back up. I haven't seen a higher score than I'm seeing right now from Alex Bregman right there, 36.8, just because he got the big winning hit there. And so I think that shows just how big. And it's not just about what you did, because he was 0 for 4 before that hit, and or maybe 0 for 3, whatever it was at the time. But he only got 1 hit in that game. But I guess what they're looking at is what the impact of that game, and that gave the Astros that lead at that point, and the Astros held on to the lead, and the bullpen did wonders. In a second, we're going to go ahead and talk about the bullpen and what they did, and we'll go a little bit deeper into what Framber Valdez did in this game. But overall, Dubon's hit in the 9th inning, that was big as well. It looked like it died in left field, and then the Astros got a little bit of, I don't know if it was good luck, but it was a break or anything. But they got I haven't seen a call where there's a challenge. It was more of an umpire challenge where they're like, well, we don't think we got the count right. So that's the situation there. So that was kind of weird situation there. So we'll talk about that when we get back.
This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Look, I use Game Time. I've told you about it. You do not have to plan months in advance. You do not have to just go out and go, well, I want to go to this game in August. No, you can wait till August. I mean, you can get it now. I already got my tickets to the first Dodgers Astros game at Minute Maid Park. I'm going to be there, but I like the price I want. But if you wait till closer to the game time, you know what? You'll get a cheaper price. But if you find a ticket that's in the same row in the same section on a different site for a cheaper price, then you know what? They'll credit you 110% the difference. They have one of the best guarantees in the business. Also, they have all-in-one pricing. You don't get any surprises when you check out. You know everything that's included in the ticket, and they give you views from receipts and so much more. Game Time is there. Customer service is great. I've used their customer service, and I'm telling you, they are there going to bat for you. So go to Game Time today. Use a promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And this episode is also brought to you by Booking.com. Go to Booking.com. Right now, the summer is heating up. It was 100 degrees today. Summer travel is heating up. So, you know what? So is travel to baseball games. I've got some friends that are up there in New York right now at Citi Field. And I promise you, if they use Booking.com, they got the best deals that they can find, whether it's bed and breakfast, whether it's a resort, whether it's a hotel overlooking the stadium. They are there for you, and they want you to go visit all the teams. Maybe you can go scout the teams and send Dana Brown your notes that you take. I don't know. Maybe he'll listen. Maybe he won't. But you're a Houston fan. Go to Chicago. Go to Pittsburgh. Go to Los Angeles. From hotels to look over stadiums. Again, family-friendly resorts. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this baseball season. Go to Booking.com today.
All right, guys. Thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. Make us part of your daily routine. Go and subscribe to us. Go and hit that little red button down there and make us become an everydayer. Somebody that listens to our podcast every day. And occasionally we'll go ahead and do a Saturday podcast, especially after a big win like this. One of the biggest wins of the season. This is a win that if the Astros do somehow make it back to the playoff picture down the road, this is one of those wins you can go back and point to. The fact that they were down by 5 runs, then they go ahead and answer and take back to win 9-6. And so this is a big, you have 8 unanswered runs. And so this is one of the biggest comebacks. And so it wasn't just all in one inning like we've seen at times. It was a consistent offense. They scored a little bit early, but then you saw them score 5 runs in the 8th and 9th inning combined, and that was huge. And it gave them the lead. You took advantage of the wildness, and what I've noticed in this series from both teams is that both teams had the pitchers wild. If you look at Blanco and Quintana in Friday's game, they both struggled with their command. Quintana was able to hold it together a little bit better than Blanco did. Blanco had one of his worst starts, but today Framber Valdez just didn't look like he had his mental stuff together. Whatever.
Look, whenever the errors happened, he fell apart. Okay, and this is tough for me. Okay, number one, I've never played at a high level like these guys. Obviously, right. I mean, none of us have, right? Well, unless you're a former major league pitcher, kind of like Mike Stanton. I find it hard to believe that you can't get past something that you struggle with forever. And maybe he just always struggles with it, right? There's always something that an athlete struggles with, whether it's defense or offense or whatever. And this is just a hitch in his game. I mean, yes, your defense, you're supposed to throw strikes because you have a defense. When your defense, messes up, that does screw up a pitcher. I'm used to seeing that on a little league field. Framber has got to look. I'm sorry, bud. The rest of the year, should we trade Framber? I'm serious. I don't know that we're going to get more out of Framber than what we've ever gotten out of him. I don't know that he's going to be better or greater than he's been. That dude, can you imagine him in a trade? We could get a crazy good package with him. And yeah, you're trading away one of your guys but you could go after a bigger target. And if not this year, at the end of the season, the offseason. Look, if Framber puts it together the rest of the year, I'll stop talking about trading him. But I just don't want to see this anymore. Yes, the defense have to back him up. They've got to take responsibility. I guarantee you, Jose Altuve takes responsibility for that error. I guarantee you the defense takes responsibility for that. But Framber, his struggles continue. When he's great, he's great. I love him on the mound. When he's not, he falls apart. The good thing is, this is what good teams do now, Eric. This team 3 weeks ago would have lost this game 13-3. They would have not come back. They've got confidence. They've got swag. Everybody's taken part. John Singleton, 1 for 2 today. Dubon, 2-run double. Jake Myers, opposite field. Alex Bregman, snap it out of Vogel for 16. Presley, 7th straight scoreless inning. Hader, save. I mean, everything went their way. And this is what happens. And look, the Rangers are falling into obscurity right now. I mean, they're up 2-1 on Baltimore, but they're 9 games back of the division. So they're kind of becoming irrelevant right now. The Mariners, they won last night. They said they like it when the Astros lose. I caught that and I retweeted it. And, we're still their daddies until they beat us in the playoffs. They haven't done that yet. But the only way the Mariners win this year, and I'm going to say this, is if the Astros fail to take the division. If the Astros can't get on top of the Mariners, if they have to depend on us losing, because if we win, they're going to lose. Period. End of story. I like where we're going, but check this out. I don't know if you saw, but Sunday is going to be a bullpen game, and they have announced Sean Dubin as the starter for the bullpen game. And his only start that he's had was in Arlington. And he had an excellent start. He had an excellent outing. And
I think he went 5 innings, didn't he?
Yeah. And so even though this is a bullpen game, that was last year. But even this is a bullpen game. Look, if he goes 2 or 3 innings, I don't mind Dubin going 2 times through if he can keep their powerful bats grounded, because they got some powerful bats and Dubin throws really hard. So he's got to miss bats. He's got to have swing and miss stuff. He's got to have a lot of whiffs, got to have his pitch shapes have to be almost perfect tomorrow. And so that way the Mets don't exploit that. I like our chances tomorrow, but I think Joey Loperfido needs to play.
I absolutely do not agree with trading Framber Valdez. I think that if the Astros had the depth to replace him, yes, maybe you can afford to trade him. But at this point, if they want to make that run, you could do it. But right now, you don't know what.
But if you trade him for you trade him for another pitcher. You don't trade him for a position player or a bat. You don't use him in a Vlad Guerrero trade. You trade him to Chicago and get Crochet and get 1 or 2 other guys.
Why would they do that though? That makes no sense. Why would the White Sox trade for him?
Why would who doesn't want, who wouldn't? Framber Valdez has value.
Yes, that's not the point. But why would the White Sox do that? That makes no sense. So, I just don't get the fact that a team like the White Sox is not going to trade for Framber Valdez because they're trying to trade away. Now, would they flip him to another team? Possibly, but they don't need Framber Valdez. If they're not winning right now, they're not going to pay for that salary. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, makes sense.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
okay, so let me shift it. Off season, let's trade him.
Yeah, I just don't think with all the injuries the Astros have dealt with, you have to keep anybody that's able to throw the baseball every 5th day. Because what are we doing tomorrow? It's a bullpen game. You're going to have Sean Dubin, and then unless Bloss shows that he can go every 5th day until you get some reinforcements back. But we had Luis Garcia make his first start the other day. I believe it was for the Hooks. I believe he only pitched 1 inning. So he's on his way back, but how much can you really count on him? So you can't, just because Framber Valdez, we know who he is. He's going to have those stinkers. But with those stinkers comes those good games as well. And so you just have to be like, okay, I have a coin. What are we going to do? Which Framber is going to show up today? And all you can hope is that the heads come up and he's a good pitcher versus tails when he gives up what he did today. So,
you know what, Eric, you changed my mind. Good call. I'm sorry. I guess I just get tired of this. I got the flow and then nothing. I'm like, come on, man. I'm just tired of it. Like, dude, if you say you got swag And trust me, I've learned the hard way. If you talk crap, you better freaking back it up. Because I've been the guy that's talked crap and I can't back it up. Framber can back it up. He's got to be more consistent. He's got to stay within himself. Anyways, but you know what, Eric, you changed my mind. You know what? Trade Framber changed my mind. You just did it. Good job, buddy.
All right. So for those of y'all that didn't see it, there was a delay. It was a missed call. I think we kind of touched on it earlier, but it was a miscount. So they said it was 3-2, but the Astros said, no, it's supposed to be a ball. And I forgot who the hitter was. I want to say it was Cabbage, or is one of those guys that got a walk, but I believe it was Cabbage. But it was a 3-2 count, and the fourth ball was way out of strike zone, and they had to go frame by frame and just look at each pitch. And that's what they had to do in New York. And somehow the scoreboard, the umpire, somebody messed up the count. I have not seen this in a professional baseball game.
Oh, Cabbage. Was it Cabbage that
I'm pretty sure it was Cabbage. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. Okay. So, but I haven't seen this before, and I see this in Little League. I see this in high school sometimes, where you have umpires that maybe are a little bit inexperienced, but in a Major League Baseball game, you're supposed to be able to keep count. And that boggles my mind that you had to go to the replay of the pitch by pitch to get the count. It worked out for the Astros.
But you know what, though? Honestly, even if that would have been the Mets, like, I don't want another team getting advantage on my team if it's something that egregious. I mean, you have to deal with that crap all the time with youth sports, and it's nauseating. Because you don't have the luxury of reviewing it. And I've seen games altered by stuff like that. That wasn't game altering, but it's just, I mean, there are just some things in the world of umpiring that sucks. Like, you know, last year, whenever was it last year, or the year before, whenever the NLDS was ended on a check swing, it's like, what are we doing here, anyways? But yeah, man, Eric, you just really put me in my place, man. Apparently, I'm just glad Eric talked you out of it. Apparently, I sound like a pampered brat. Is that what they said? SFA powerhouse. I don't know. It's all good. Hey, man, look, guys, we love the feedback. All right. We love your opinions. You know, I'm right 99% of the time.
Okay, we'll go with that. He's unright at that point. He misremembered all the time. He's not right.
Yeah. It's all good.
In this game, you had a lot of contributions from everywhere, and Bregman with the big one, but you had Pena with a big, I believe it was RBI double earlier in the game. Singleton had some production, and Dubon with the big hit to kind of put the final nail in the coffin at the end. That was good.
That was huge. Those insurance runs are big, Eric, and that's a good thing, dude. Presley. He's been much maligned this year, and he's struggled. And I'm so glad to see him get it back. Because look, if we do make a playoff run, the back end of our bullpen has got to be working. And you know, Eric, this could have been one of those games where Framber goes out early. You use the bullpen, and then it screws up your game plan for Game 3. Now you use very minimal pitchers, and now you can go in. Taylor Scott didn't even pitch that much. You can use him tomorrow. And I'm confident in Dubin. He goes in there, but I don't think Dubin sees the lineup more than twice through, if maybe 1.5 times through tomorrow.
Yeah. So Valdez, this was the second most runs he's given up in a game. The first one, he gave up 8 runs, and I believe he came back the next time and pitched pretty good. So he is just one of those pitchers that he's either on or off, and it's something that I hope the Astros are able to fix. And if he wants to get that big time contract, that is something that he does need to fix. But the Astros have a big game tomorrow. The Mets are not an easy team. There's a reason why they've been playing some pretty darn good baseball. Remember, you had that pitcher get thrown out of the game, and he threw his glove and said, "This team sucks," or he said the Mets guy. Yeah, I think it was I forgot what his name was, but he signed later with the Cubs. I remember seeing that. But it's going to be a familiar guy on the mound tomorrow for the Mets, Luis Severino. This is somebody that's been on the Yankees for many years.
We know. Yeah. Yeah, Sevy's actually hasn't he been pitching well for them this year?
Yeah.
He's
5-2 with a 3.29 ERA, 71 strikeouts. Alvarez in his career is batting 429 with a home run with a 1357 OPS. You have Bregman with 3 RBIs in his career, and Yainer Diaz. Granted, it's a small sample size, 4 at bats, but guess how many home runs he has in those 4 bats?
2.
Dos.
Why do you throw the Spanish in there?
Cinco RBIs.
Oh gosh, come on, Eric. Okay, and then you have Mr. Cabbage, 2 at bats, 500 with a 1500 OPS. I mean, let's just roll out the big dogs. McCormick, 3 at bats, 833 OPS. Look, the bottom line is this: the bullpen takes care of business. Keep this team in the ballpark. Keep Francisco Lindor off the base pass. Keep Alonso in the ballpark. Everything else will work itself out. The offense just get hits when they're needed, manufacture runs like they did today, a pass ball, advance runners, walks, looking at pitches, seeing more pitches. This team sees fewer pitches than just about any team in Major League Baseball. Myers, his opposite field home run was on the 10th pitch. I mean, that is plate discipline. When all those things come together, I think you win this series and you go on the road. And I don't know if you saw this. I haven't heard about the x-rays, but did you see Carlos Correa get hit in the wrist and it looked like his hand was broken? I haven't heard. Have you heard what the injury report on him was? He was holding up his hand and he couldn't even, it looked bad. So when we go to Minnesota, we may not be seeing our old friend Carlos Correa. I don't know if he'll be playing or not, but it just doesn't keep getting, it doesn't get any easier. We go to Minnesota and then Toronto.
Yeah. So both teams right now are 41-41. The Astros, the Mets are 40-40. So both teams are at 500. Right. The Astros are in second in the AL West. The Mets are third in the NL East. So both teams have something to fight for. And I told you before this series, this is going to feel like a playoff series. Game 1, it felt like a playoff series for the first maybe 5 innings. Then it got a little bit out of control. And then I was like, oh yeah, is the game still on? But then this felt like game 5 of the 2017 World Series, with all the, maybe not as much back and forth, but just with the Astros just coming back. I don't know if that's a good reference, but just the offense just coming back and getting the lead and getting it done. So I hope the Astros are able to carry this momentum into tomorrow's game, because they've got to win the series. It's not about sweeps. It's about winning series and just hoping that the Mariners lose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I really hope the Mariners lose. I hope every day the Mariners play. I hope they don't win another game the rest of the year. We need 167 likes, actually 168, because we have 168 of y'all watching right now. Do this with me. If you are watching on your phone or on your computer, guide your mouse to that little thumbs up, click it, or if you're on your phone, click it. And look, make sure that you share our show with other people. Make sure you tell people that we're not just on this YouTube channel. We're on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Wherever you can get your podcast, check us out. Eric and I put a lot of time and effort into this. We love you guys, and we'll be here all season long. No matter whether the Astros are streaking or not, it doesn't matter, because we are your team every day. Right, Eric?
Yes, that's right. And go and subscribe to us as well, and make us help us reach 20,000 subscribers. That's our next goal. And guys, thank you for making us your everyday listen. And we will be back tomorrow, hopefully talking about the Astros winning the series against the OMG Mets. And this was a great game. And we wanted to do a podcast today just because of how awesome that game was. My name is Eric Huysman. His name is Brett Chancey. We are the Locked On Astros podcast, and we will see you tomorrow. Go Astros.
Go Astros.